Hello students, myself Jinali Shah from Saraswat International Academy. Today we will begin with the next part of the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variations. Students, in last lecture we finally completed Mendel's monohybrid experiment, and in that we have studied the two important conclusions derived from that, and that conclusions were in the form of laws of inheritance. We have studied two laws of inheritance. One was the law of dominance and another one was the law of segregation. I told you that there is an exception in the law of dominance. There were two exceptions which I mentioned, students. One exception was incomplete dominance and another one was codominance. So students, today we will deal with the topic incomplete dominance. Now students, recall Mendel's monohybrid experiment. In Mendel's monohybrid experiment we have studied that when parents are taken as pure parents, that is, say for example we took the example of height as an character. When a pure tall pea plant was crossed with pure dwarf pea plants, so in the F1 generation we obtained all the plants as tall. None of the plant was of in between height, or none of the plant was what? None of the plant was dwarf. So basically the genotype of the plant in the F1 generation, basically they were heterozygous dominant, right? The genes present were capital T and small t, and the character expressed was capital T, and that is of the tallness. So now students, what is incomplete dominance? So when two pure characters, when they are crossed, and if in an F1 hybrid we get a result as an intermediate condition, what is that called as? It is called as an incomplete dominance. We will first of all study its definition. The expression of a traits of two pure parents as an intermediate condition or a fine mixture in F1 hybrid is known as incomplete dominance. Students, according to Mendel, what is the condition? That all the F1 plants or all the F1 generation should resemble one of the parental characters. In considering height as a character, what we have seen? We have seen that the tallness character got expressed in the F1 generation. Dwarfness characters, it remains unexpressed, and none of the plant were present of in between height. Only one of the parental character got expressed in the F1 generation. But in incomplete dominance, students, what happens? None of the parental character gets expressed in the F1 generation. In the F1 generation, what is happening? There is an intermediate condition developed in the F1 hybrid. And what is that called as? Incomplete dominance. Expression of the traits of two pure parents as an intermediate condition or a fine mixture. What in the F1 hybrids, it is called as an incomplete dominance. Now students, this incomplete dominance is also known as partial dominance, or also called as blended dominance, or intermediate dominance, or also called as mosaic dominance. These are the other names of the incomplete dominance. Now students, we will study incomplete dominance by taking the example of flower color in a dog flower, which is also called as snapdragon, and its scientific name is Antirrhinum. So we will study the concept of incomplete dominance in the dog flower. Now students, when a pure red and pure white flowers of snapdragon, they were crossed, either red color should have been obtained in the F1 generation if red color was dominant, or white color should have been developed in the F1 generation if white color was dominant. But to the surprise, what result was obtained? all the flowers of F1 generation were of pink color, which indicates red color is neither dominant over white color nor white color is dominant over the red color. We will see what was the condition. So, when the pure red colored flower of snapdragon with the genes capital R was crossed with the pure white color flower of the snapdragon, then what was obtained? So, basically the gametes produced here will be which type of gametes? Capital R in this condition, and here small r and small r. Now students, the F1 generation. We will form the Punnett square, students. Now, where are the gametes written in Punnett square? So, these two gametes I will be writing on the sides of the left columns, and these two gametes I will be writing on the top of the rows. Now students, we will cross them. By crossing these two, we obtain capital R, small r. This with this, again same result, capital R, small r. This with this, again we will get the same result, capital R, small r, and this with this, again we obtain the same result. Now, according to Mendel, what should be the result? If red was dominant, all the flowers should be red. If white was dominant, all the flowers should be white. But what result did we obtain by crossing this? Here, all the flowers were of which color? They were of pink color. Now students, here comes an exception. What does the law of dominance say of a pair of dissimilar allele? One allele dominates over the other. One allele does not allow the expression of the other allele. But here students, suppose if red color was dominant over white color, all the flowers developed should be red. If white color was dominant over red color, all the flowers developed should be white. But the condition obtained was what? All the flowers of the F1 generation were pink. And this is called as incomplete dominance. The color was intermediate between red and white color. Now, when the F2 generation was formed, how F2 generation are formed? By selfing the plants of the F1 generation. So basically, what would be the condition? There would be the cross between capital R, small r, capital R, small r. So students, here what gametes would be developed? The gametes from this would be capital R, small r, here also capital R, small r. Now when we talk about the F2 generation, if we form a Punnett square, students, so these two gametes I am writing here. These two gametes I am writing here. Now suppose we cross this. So here this will be capital R. By crossing this with this, it would be capital R, small r. This with this, capital R, small r, and this with this, we obtain small r, small r. Now students, if this is the condition, the flowers would be red. If this is the condition, it would be pink. Again this would be pink, and these are white. So here students, what ratio do we obtain? So first of all, we will talk about the phenotypic ratio, right? So now what is the phenotypic ratio? We have three conditions. One is red, another one is pink, and another one is white. So there is one pink, there are one red, two pink and one white. So we get the ratio of 1:2:1. And again the genotypic ratio, what is it? 1 is capital R, 2 is capital R, small r, again 1 is small r. So same is the genotypic ratio, that is 1:2:1. But according to the Mendel's monohybrid experiment, the phenotypic ratio is 3:1. But in incomplete dominance, we obtain phenotypic ratio as 1:2:1. And genotypic ratio according to Mendel's experiment and this experiment, it is same. That is 1:2:1. So here, this is an example of incomplete dominance. Now students, from this, what we can say? We can say that neither red nor white is completely dominant, so that both the color they appear in hybrid as a blend which is pinkish in color. If red was dominant, all the flowers should be red. If white was dominant, all the flowers should be white. But in the hybrids, which color do we obtain? We obtain a blend of these two colors, and that is pink, which is the contradiction to Mendel's assumption that blending of the characters do not take place. It is in contradiction to the Mendel's assumption that blending does not take place. But now students, another important thing you should remember, that the genes for red and white color, they actually do not mix in the F1 generation. Students, if the genes might have mixed in the F1 generation, then in the F2 generation you would not obtain pure red and pure white color. But here you can see in the F2 generation, again the red colored flower and white colored flowers, they reappeared, which means that actually the genes for the red and white color do not mix, because the pure characters they reappear in the F2 generation. See here students, you get the pure red color flower as well as you obtain the pure white colored flower. So if mixing could have taken place, then they could not have reappeared. So what might be the effect? So here students, the effect is the quantitative effect of genes, which means when genes small r is present, then this particular flower is unable to produce the pigment, and that is why it is whitish in color. Capital R, it produces the pigment and develops the red color flower. But students, what happens in a heterozygous condition? That is with capital R and small r genes. This particular flower is able to produce only half the amount of the pigment for the flower. It is able to produce only half the amount of the pigment. Suppose capital R produces complete pigment, then in the capital R small r condition, only half the amount of the pigment is produced, and that is the reason why pink color flowers are developed. So students, this is regarding the incomplete dominance, which is an exception to the Mendel's law of dominance. Here in F1 hybrid condition, none of the parents are showing their dominance. Instead, what is happening? It is in the F1 generation, intermediate condition or fine mixture arises, and that is regarding the incomplete dominance, which we studied with the example of the dog flower. Students, now we will deal with the concept of dominance, right? So students, we know that basically a gene contains the information to express a particular trait. If you want to study how dominance takes place, first of all we need to know regarding gene. So basically we know that gene, it contains the information for a particular trait, for a particular character. Say for example, I consider height as an character. So why height is developed? Basically the height is due to the genes which are responsible for that particular thing. So who contains the information for a particular trait? So the genes, they contain the information to express a particular trait, right? Suppose proteins are produced in your body. So for the production of the proteins, say for example enzymes are there. Enzymes, say for example hexokinase, which is responsible for conversion of the glucose. So basically for the production of any enzyme also, who is responsible? Genes. So basically genes, they contain the information to express any particular character or trait. Now students, if the organisms are diploid organism, then there are two copies of each gene, that is, it has a pair of alleles. Now students, law of paired factors, Mendel told that the particular character is expressed by factors and there occurs two factors for a particular character. So basically if an organism is a diploid organism, then there are two copies of each genes, which means it occur as a pair of alleles. We have seen, suppose tall height is there, it is represented by the genes capital T or by capital T small t. So for height as a character, it have how many genes? It have two genes which are called as alleles, right? Now that alleles may be either same, that is in the homozygous condition, or in the heterozygous condition, the two alleles are different, right? Again considering height as an example. Tall pea plants were represented by two genotypes. One genotype was capital T, another genotype was capital T small t. So capital T also it is for tallness and capital T small t also is for tallness, right? But the difference is in their genotype. So there are two possibilities. Either it may be a homozygous condition where both the alleles are same, or it may be a heterozygous condition where two alleles are not identical. So students, in diploid organism, we know that genes basically it occurs as a pair of allele. So in a heterozygous condition, that two alleles are not identical, they are different. Whereas in homozygous condition, the alleles are identical. Now students, here as I told you that in the heterozygous condition, the two alleles are not identical. So what happens? One of them may be different due to some changes that it has undergone, which modifies the information that particular allele contains. Now, I told you in a heterozygous conditions, the two alleles are not identical. So, how that is possible? So, one of the allele might have undergone some changes. Now, how these changes occur in the gene, we will study in the next chapter. But one of the allele, it might have undergone certain changes, and due to these changes, it modifies the information that particular allele contains. Say for example, the normal allele for height in the pea plant, for considering the height in the pea plant, the normal allele is capital T, which is responsible for the tallness. Due to some conditions, this, say for example, this particular allele, it have undergone changes, right? And due to the changes, it have developed the gene, it have developed the allele. And this allele, it modifies the information. What it does? It modifies the information. Basically, capital G contains the information to produce the tall plants. But due to the change in the allele, the information also modifies. And as the information modifies, the phenotypic character may also get modified. Clear, students? So here, to study the concept of dominance, we take an example of a gene which produces an enzyme, right? A gene producing an enzyme. Now students, we know that there will be two copies of this gene in a diploid organism. There are two alleles for this gene. Which gene? We are considering a gene which produces the enzyme. So, in an organism, there will be two alleles for this gene. Which gene? The gene producing the enzyme. Now, let us assume that the normal allele produces the normal enzyme. A normal allele, it produces a normal enzyme. Which is needed, basically what does the enzyme does? In the presence of the enzyme, the substrate gets converted into product, right? In the presence of E stands for enzyme, S stands for substrate, P stands for product. So students, in the presence of the enzyme, the substrate is transformed, is changed into product. So we take an example that there is a gene which produces the enzyme. Now we know that this gene will be having how many alleles? It will be having two alleles. Now we consider that the normal particular allele produces a normal enzyme, and as normal enzyme will be produced, what will be happening? The substrate will be transformed. It would be changed. It would be changed into what? It would be changed into product, right? Now, so one allele is a normal allele, and this normal allele will produce a normal gene which is required to transform the substrate into the product. Now we are considering a dissimilar allele condition. We are considering a heterozygous condition. So theoretically, what would be the possibility of the other allele? What could be the possibility of the other allele? Now students, listen very carefully that the other allele, it could be responsible for the production of normal or less efficient enzyme. That is, what are the possibilities for the other allele? We are considering, we know that for every character there is a gene, and every gene basically occurs as a pair of alleles, right? So now we are considering a heterozygous condition. In a heterozygous condition, I told you that one allele is a normal allele. As it is a normal allele, it will produce a normal enzyme, and this normal enzyme will convert the substrate into the product, right? Now what would be the possibilities of the other allele? Now there are three possibilities for the other allele. Now that other allele could produce the normal or less efficient enzyme, right? Or it will produce an enzyme. But which type of enzyme it is? A non-functional enzyme. As it is a non-functional enzyme, substrate cannot be transformed into the product. And the last possibility is that the other allele will not produce enzyme at all. What are the possibilities of the other allele? First possibility is the other allele will produce a normal or less efficient enzyme. It will less efficient enzyme or normal enzyme, as it is produced, it will convert the substrate into product. What is the other possibility? It will produce the enzyme, but which enzyme it is? Non-functional. As the enzyme is not functioning, substrate cannot be transformed into the product. Or what is the final condition? It would not produce enzyme at all. If the enzyme is not produced, what will happen? Again, substrate could not get converted into the product. So students, we will examine these three conditions. So what is the first condition here? The first condition is that the other allele will produce normal or less efficient enzyme. So in this particular case, the modified allele is equivalent to non-modified allele. See students, in this particular condition, the other allele is producing a normal enzyme or it is producing the less efficient enzyme. So what we can say, this particular allele, it is equivalent to the unmodified allele. The first case where the allele is producing the normal or less efficient enzyme, in this condition we can say that the modified allele is equivalent to non-modified allele. It means it will produce the same trait, that is, it will be responsible for the transformation of the substrate. Here, what is the trait we are considering? We are considering a trait which is forming an enzyme, and that enzyme is transforming a substrate. So, for the modified allele, first condition is that the modified allele produces the normal enzyme or it produces the less efficient enzyme. In this condition, we can say that the modified allele is equivalent to unmodified allele. What was unmodified allele doing? That unmodified allele was producing the enzyme, and that enzyme was responsible for transformation of substrate. So that was also done in this particular case. But students, in these two cases, which are the two cases? One is the non-functional production of the non-functional enzyme, and another one is there is no production of the enzyme. So here in these two conditions, students listen very carefully. In these two conditions, which two conditions? The allele if it is forming a non-functional enzyme, or allele if it is not forming an enzyme at all. So in this condition, the phenotype is affected. Students, keep in mind, in this condition, the phenotype. What are the phenotype we are talking about? We are talking about the transformation of the substrate into product in the presence of the enzyme. So students, if the modified allele produces the non-functional enzyme, or if it produces no enzyme at all, then in this condition the phenotype will be affected. In our condition, what is the phenotype? Transformation of the substrate into product. So that will be affected. So if the allele produces a non-functional enzyme, or you can say no enzyme, then what is affected? Phenotype may be affected. So students, in this condition, the phenotype is dependent on the functioning of the unmodified allele. Listen very carefully, students. In the condition where the modified allele produces the non-efficient enzyme nor functional enzyme, or if it produces no enzyme at all, then in this condition the phenotypic trait is dependent upon the functioning of the unmodified allele. So students, if both the alleles are modified allele, what would happen? The phenotypic trait would be totally changed. But if one allele is a non-modified allele and one allele is a modified allele, then in this condition that is in the heterozygous condition, the phenotypic trait, the character's development is developed on the basis of the functioning of the unmodified allele. The unmodified allele, or you can say functional allele, it represents the original type dominant allele, and the modified allele is said to be the recessive allele. So, recessive trait is seen due to the non-functional enzyme or because no enzyme is produced. So, students, listen very carefully that when there are two dissimilar alleles, in our condition we are talking about the alleles responsible for functioning of the enzyme. So students, if there are two dissimilar alleles, the phenotypic trait will be dependent upon what? It will be dependent upon the functioning of the unmodified allele. Now this unmodified allele, it represents the original phenotype and it is called as the dominant allele. That is, unmodified allele is a dominant allele and it will develop the original phenotype. In our condition, what is the original phenotype? Conversion of the substrate into product. And the modified allele is called as the recessive allele. And students, the recessive trait, the recessive character, that is here no functional enzyme or no enzyme at all. This character will be seen when both the genes are which type of genes? Recessive genes. So students, here we have studied the concept of the dominance, taking the gene for the production of an enzyme as an example. So students, today we have studied regarding one important concept, that is incomplete dominance. And again we have also studied the concept of dominance. We have studied two things. One is incomplete dominance, which was the exception to the law of dominance given by Mendel. And we have also studied how dominance takes place. We come to the end of today's lecture. Students, tomorrow or in the next lecture, we will be dealing with the another concept, with the another exception of Mendel's law of dominance, that is codominance. Thank you students.